on feedback, giving and getting feedback. And the reason I call it a master skill is because if you want to create a pro-growth culture, or you yourself want to grow, feedback is essential. And if you want to work in a collaborative, team-oriented environment, feedback is very important for every member of the team so that people can work together to get the maximum amount of result for the effort they put in. But feedback is also pretty rare because we're pretty sensitive to feedback. And a lot of us have a lot of defenses around feedback. And when I say us, I mean me included. So in cultures where teams or people are really operating at their highest capacity, they're treating each other like adults. In most hierarchical or authoritarian-based organizations or teams, there's a tendency to have adult-child relationships or parent-child relationships where a person is sort of telling the other person what they should be doing, and the other person, it just feels like they're taking orders, and they don't. It's not a equal, respectful relationship, adult to adult, and that's what we want. That's the basis of a pro-growth culture. Now, there are two things that really drive that, and one is authentic empowerment, where people really feel like they are clear on what they need to do and have the resources to get it done and have the decision authority to also get done what they've been assigned to. The second part of it is respectful accountability. So remember, if we're adult to adult, we're going to hold each other accountable and even ourselves accountable, but in a way that shows mutual respect. If you get that going, what you do is you create a smart growth culture. What I mean by that is the culture is really focused on really getting the most out of everybody's ability or their genius. And when you treat everybody like a genius, that is with respectful accountability, you get amazing results. So how do you do this? Well, first of all, we have to really be clear on where we've come from. So most of us got feedback starting out as a child. And there was a feeling, if we have authority figures early in our childhood, at school or at home or whatever, that are critical, and it makes us feel like the message they're giving us is you are stupid, it is natural to defend ourselves. And the way we defend ourselves is, well, you are clueless, you don't understand, you don't get it. Now, this is a deep part of our identity, so we're all born with this, or we're all raised in this environment. All of us go through this. And Daniel Goleman, who's really the father of emotional intelligence, actually wrote a book about this very fact. And he said it's the most natural thing for human beings to create defensive routines that are based on three things, and they occur in order. Deny, that is deny there's a problem or an issue. Blame, that is blame others or blame the situation instead of taking responsibility. And then rationalize that whatever's happening doesn't really matter. So I'll give you a personal example. So let's suppose I'm watching a football game and it's my favorite team. And I'm relaxed on the couch and so forth. And my wife comes in and says, honey, I really need to talk to you about something that's important and it's just come up. And I say, okay, go ahead and talk to me. And she says, you know, I really want to get your full attention because this is important. And say, well, you know, I can watch the game, I'll turn it down and listen to you at the same time and you know, just go. And then she just gets frustrated and says, well, if you're not going to give me your full attention, and she leaves the room. And then I blame her, say, well, gosh, isn't she touchy or needy or some other term that gets me off the hook? And then I rationalize, well, was that important? You know, she would have pressed on or something like that. Or it can't be that important, anything can wait. So all of these are defense mechanisms that as human beings grow up, we develop and they become very commonplace. So you find this very often in the workplace. So let's suppose you're asking somebody, the report that they promised, is it going to be on time? And they say, yeah, it's not a problem, it's not a problem. You notice they're really busy, but it's no, not a problem. Then you get to, where's the report? Oh, it's going to be late, I got too much to do. You know, it wasn't my fault, I thought I could get it done on time. but I had these other responsibilities thrown at me by, Bob and Carol or whatever, and they had these urgencies, so this is the best I can do. And then secretly, that person's rationalizing, this report, it can wait till Monday anyway, right? I mean, nothing bad's going to happen. So when you have people, that is cultures of people, that engage in this defensive routine, you minimize the positive impact of teamwork. But if you can get a team to not allow this to become the way that they interact together and create a feedback-rich environment, that's when you get really high performance. So I'm going to give you a key, because one of the things that you want to do to create a feedback-rich environment is avoid triggering defensiveness. And so one of the best ways to do that is to, instead of saying, I need to give you some feedback, you actually say, I'd like some feedback because it's important to me that this report gets in on time. That creates psychological safety. So you're trying to create a lack of defensiveness. That's psychological safety. So instead of saying, hey, I've got some feedback to give you, or just start firing feedback like, I can't believe you're late and this is not acceptable, you get into a habit of saying, I'd like some feedback because it's important to me that, and whatever the goal is. Then you say, what's working? What's not working? What's next? I mean, what are you going to do next? And then say, would you like some feedback? So what's working? Well, I've got all the material I need to do for the report. Okay, so is there anything in the way of getting the report? I really need it. Well, I've got all these other urgencies that have come up. Okay, so what can you do about it? Because this report needs to be in today. And they might say, well, I'll talk to these other sources and so forth. You've just given that person vital feedback and you're asking them to solve the problem. But let's suppose they say, well, I'm just not going to get this done till Monday. And you say, well, would you like some feedback from me? And that feedback is, we need to fix this now. Let's work together to figure out a way to get this report in now. Now, I want to make a point here. When you approach it this way, you're gaining a partnership with a person that you're giving feedback, and you're asking them what's working, what's not. And so you're not just coming in and sort of accusing them of shirking their responsibility. These are capable people. They have good reason for their behavior. And you want to find out what that reason is so that when you give your coaching and you give your feedback, it's really relevant and compelling. That's why you want to approach it this way. Now, you also want to ask for feedback. And according to research from Google, which has done a tremendous amount of research on what people say they need to really feel like they're growing and excelling in their work, is people want feedback every week. This doesn't mean necessarily sit down feedback. It's more conversational, like you're always in a conversation. So you're always asking for feedback. What am I doing well? What do I need? What do I need to improve that would really make a difference, or that what you value? So you get in the habit, just even in the hall or in passing or in meetings. What do you think I'm doing really well? What do you think our team's doing really well? What needs improvement? Boy, you just clear the air, and people can really work together in very high rates of creative collaboration, which is what you want. So this is what I'd like to experiment with. This is the application assignment I'd like you to do. And it's to both give feedback and ask for feedback. So number one, think about who right now needs feedback to improve their performance. Who would, if they did their job a little different or a little better, would make a difference for you. Number two, think through what aspects of their performance they really need to improve. So get very specific. Number three, when you engage with them, establish your intentions. Remember, you're creating psychological safety, so they'll really listen to you. And you do that by telling them that you want some feedback. And then you go to the next step. Use the magic words. What's working? What needs improvement? What's next? What are you going to do to achieve the improvement? Then you can always ask, would you like some suggestions from me? Now you can also interject other terms at this point. I mean, if the person is just absolutely not responsive to you, then you say, well, let me tell you why that doesn't work for me. And let me tell you what I really prefer that you do. Number 6, hold them accountable for their commitment. So if they make a commitment, okay, I'll get this report to you by 4 o'clock today. It's okay to make sure that they do. And you do this by following through, by just asking them, okay, it's 4 o'clock, is it done? And you go through the process again if it isn't. So I want you to think of follow-up as not nagging, but support. And the more support we get, the more likely we are to keep our commitments. Number 7, now this is about where you're asking for feedback. So you can go to your boss, a coworker, a partner, a spouse, and ask simply, so what am I doing well? What can I improve? What would really make a difference? Now, when you ask this question specifically about a particular topic, it's really helpful. So in terms of specific parts of your job or projects that you're working on. Now, number 8 is, if you really want to unravel the mystery of another person's thought, you use these words. What would have to be true, for instance, for me to get a promotion? Or what would have to be true for you to follow the family rules? Let's suppose you're talking to a teenager or something. And when you ask those words, neuroscientists have found that those words do not create defensiveness. That's why they're magic. And so you say, what would have to be true for you to be able to finish this report on time? You'll get a non-defensive, pretty candid answer. That's why those words are important. And then finally, I just really encourage you to make feedback a conversational habit, something that you, your team, the people you work with, the people you live with, are very comfortable about having this adult-to-adult interchange. Well, I hope this makes sense to you, and I really want you to try it out, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks so much.